With SQL, you can extract, transform, and load very large data sets.
That's just plainly wrong.
But still go for Python, as it's the probably...
What is he talking about? What on earth is he talking about right now?
For us data analysts, we only have to choose between two programming languages, R and Python. You can start off with any language or tool that suits you best, because whatever you pick...
I don't even want to listen to this anymore. Alright. Obviously that was a joke. Let's get into the actual video. Today we're reacting to the video fastest way to become a data analyst and actually get a job by one of the OG data analysts on YouTube, Stefanovic. Let's see what points I agree with, if there's any I disagree with. Without any further ado, let's get straight into it.
From the day I started messing around with some data in Excel, it took me about 3 years to land a data analyst job at Heineken and another 2 years to land a job as a freelance data analyst.
3 years is a long time. You probably don't need 3 years, but if you're getting started from scratch and you don't really have a map, then I can see how it might take 3 years, but 3 years is a long time.
At a big bank in Europe. And another 2 years to quit that job and travel the world full time, but more on that later. Can you become a data analyst way faster? 100%. I've wasted too many hours watching YouTube tutorials and I've spent money on Udemy courses that didn't add any value. So I often ask myself, if I could start over with data analysis, knowing what I know today, how would I go about it? And that's exactly what this video is about. I'll remove all the fluff and give you the fastest path to go from zero.
I mean, can we talk about that editing? That editing is so good. You can probably tell a fair amount of inspiration in my videos comes from Stefanovic.
To a full-time data analyst. And throughout this video, I will share the 3 major mistakes almost every data analyst makes. So stay tuned for those. The first thing every beginner data analyst needs to pick is a tool or programming language for data analysis. I personally started off with Excel. Is that the best tool there is for data analysis? No. If I could go back in time, would I have started with something else? Also no, because apparently getting good at Excel was enough for my first data analysis job. And
I 100% agree. Excel is probably the first tool you should learn if you want to become a data analyst. Any type of analyst, financial analyst, investment analyst, data analyst. In any industry, Excel is a fundamental that you really need to know.
I personally recommend every single data analyst to start off with Excel. It's easy to learn, used in almost every company, and it has a wide range of applications for data analysis. But
100%. Almost every company uses Excel. Clients love getting their reports and findings and analysis in Excel as well. That's a key thing I've realized as well.
This is also its pitfall. Although you can do a lot of different things in Excel, it's not designed specifically for data analysis.
Another great point. It's sort of a jack of all trades, but the master of none. Excel is not really the best at anything specific or niche or really specialist, but for overall data and analytics activities, it is a must-have.
Meaning it has its limitations. You want to work with a very large data set? Well, good luck not punching through your computer screen after Excel crashes for the 27th time. Excel is perfect for starting out, but once you've mastered Excel, it's time to move on to the more serious tools. And the most logical tool to learn next is SQL. Next to Excel, it is apparently the second most requested skill in data analyst job openings.
SQL is very important as well. There's so many companies that use SQL as part of their data infrastructure for storing data, and it gives you a lot more leeway in working with different types of data. It gives you a lot more leeway in storing data. And I think in the video I made on how I would become a data analyst all over again, I think SQL is the next tool I recommended as well.
Huge thanks to Luke Barrouz for actually scraping a lot of LinkedIn job openings to come up with these facts. You're a legend, man. Thank you.
What up, then, nerds?
And the reason SQL is
Luke Barrouz, another OG data analyst, YouTube legend.
So in demand is because it doesn't have the same limitations as Excel. Why is my accent suddenly changing to Southern? I don't know what. With SQL, you can extract, transform, and load very large data sets. But the best thing about it is that SQL has its own very easy to use programming language. It's a great tool to add to your skill set as a data analyst while also being a great stepping stone to some more serious programming. But before we get to that, every data analyst needs a visualization tool. There are dozens of BI tools out there, but Having worked for multiple companies and projects, and having looked at probably hundreds of data analyst job openings, I've come to realize that the majority of companies are looking for people with experience with Tableau, Power BI, and ClickView. Here's the pros and cons.
I actually haven't had as much experience with ClickView, but Tableau and Power BI are essentially the bread and butter of data visualization tools.
Cons of each, so you can decide which suits you best. Power BI is part of the Microsoft stack, so it works smoothly with Excel and SharePoint. Besides that, it has a free version, and even the paid versions are relatively budget friendly compared to the other BI tools. Next up is Tableau. Tableau is a BI tool with more extensive data visualization capabilities than Power BI. It seems to be just a bit more in demand in the job market than Power BI. It comes with a much higher price tag though, making it harder to learn if you're starting out by yourself. And then there's ClickView, using in-memory technology, making it a super fast and responsive way of doing business intelligence, but also a pretty high price tag, and also it's less in demand than Tableau and Power BI. I personally picked Power BI as my BI tool.
Same, Power BI, because mostly within finance, within the financial industry that I work in, Power BI just slots in easier. Excel's a staple in finance, and being able to go back and forth from Excel, Power BI, especially Power Query, it just made more sense to learn Power BI.
Although it might not be the fastest BI tool out there or the one with the most extensive capabilities, in my opinion, it can give you the most bang for buck when it comes to becoming a full-time data analyst.
If you want to learn Power BI, you don't even need to pay for a plan. The free version is more than enough. It gives you all the features. You just lose out on some sharing features which you would only need if you were working in a team anyway. So if you're learning, the free version is perfectly fine. I actually had an interview for a senior data analyst role, and as part of the interview process they sent me a Power BI case study to complete. I had to create a set of 4 dashboards, and I did that all in the free version on my desktop. I have the paid version on my work desktop, but I didn't want to upload the company data into the work desktop, so I just did it on my personal PC, and the free version was more than enough to complete that.
Before we move on to how to actually get good at data analysis and land that first job, there's one more thing we need to do as a data analyst. After you've mastered a BI tool, it's time to get into the more advanced analytics. I'm talking about which programming language to use when it comes to data analysis or data science. Software developers and programmers get to choose between Java, JavaScript, Ruby, C#, Python, R, C, C++, and many more. Luckily for us data analysts, we only have to choose between 2 programming languages, R and Python. So which one should you pick? I chose Python, but...
Same, I did Python as well. But I did complete a programming in R module at university, which was semi-useful. Both are pretty useful to have on your CV, because essentially what you're aiming to do is check off as many boxes as you possibly can. So having both is pretty useful. Python, I've used Python in my role to automate certain things. Very, very useful. Automating manual tasks, automating repetitive tasks. R, I haven't used as much. We did have a small part in a project where some R was required, but I just ended up using Stack Overflow to figure out the ins and outs of R for that particular project.
If I could go back in time, I would choose Python. Why? Well, even though they're actually very similar, R is a programming language focused more on statistical analysis, while Python is a more general purpose programming language that also happens to be very good for data analysis.
Yeah, absolutely right. R is slightly more specialized towards the statistical analysis side of things, and Python's just much more applicable in the world of general data analytics.
Although R might be a little bit easier to learn.
At that point, maybe I would disagree. Perhaps that's just me. I found R to be slightly more difficult to learn than Python. I thought Python was pretty easy. Pretty easy is relative, but
probably the #1 programming language in the world. Meaning, if you get good at Python for
actually, maybe that's why, because there's probably more resources available to learn Python. Maybe that's why I found it easier.
Data analysis, it might also open the door to a lot of different job opportunities. So, the path I took is Excel, SQL, Power BI, and Python. This is the path I would recommend.
That's a great roadmap. That's the roadmap I'd follow if I had to go back and do it all over again. Yep, I would do the same. Excel, SQL, Power BI, Python. Maybe Excel, Power BI, SQL, Python, but that's a pretty good roadmap.
This is the path I would recommend, as it worked out great for me. But you can start off with any language or tool that suits you best, because whatever you pick, your first language or tool will definitely not be your last. So now that you know which tools to learn, let's talk about how to actually learn it. And this is where beginners make their first major mistake. The mistake most beginners make is that they try to learn by watching others. This is how most people learn data analysis. Some people go to Udemy and watch multiple 20+ hour courses and probably not even finish all of them, or they watch YouTube videos watching other people analyze data. But without actually writing code or analyzing data themselves, they give themselves a false sense of progress. Because analyzing data in your head is very different from actually doing it.
Yeah, that's true. You can watch as many videos as you want. You can watch as many tutorials as you want. But being able to apply that in practice, in practical use, in real world practical use is a completely different thing. So for practice purposes, I'd recommend taking a publicly available dataset. Go on Company's House and pull a dataset from somewhere. Go on IMDb, go on somewhere, just pull a dataset and practice your skills that you're learning. Practice the skills that you're learning on that dataset. Set out a series of questions that you want to answer. Apply the analytical techniques you're learning and practice in real life. He's right. You can't just watch a video and expect to become a good data analyst.
Data analysis in your head is very different from actually analyzing data, stumbling upon faulty data, and debugging for hours. So what is the right way to do it? The answer is very simple. Learn by doing. You just need to get the reps in and start coding and analyzing data by yourself. For Excel, I would recommend a website called excelpracticeonline.com, a free website where you learn to use Excel by doing, from the basics to the most advanced functionalities. For SQL, I would recommend the website w3schools.com/SQL. For Power BI, I would recommend DataCamp. There's free courses and also paid ones. For Python, you can go to this free website called learnpython.org. Whether you're practicing every day at your current job so you can make that switch to a data analysis career, or whether you're still studying, you need to practice every single day. Only this way will you experience what it's actually like working as a data analyst.
That's an interesting screenshot to pause on. But yeah, the more you practice, the more you'll be able to explain the intricacies of each tool in an interview when it comes up. You'll know more, you'll know how everything works, and you'll be able to explain your experience better. If the interviewer asks you a niche question, you'll be able to answer it. And that comes from practice. Once you get a job, then you'll probably be using those tools every single day. So you're practicing anyway. But before, you have to practice by yourself outside of work to be able to build that foundational knowledge and get your foot in the door.
Analysis. Working as a data analyst. Only then will you learn what it's like to debug your own code or formulas. Because, to be honest, that's what you will spend the most time on. Debugging faulty code or correcting faulty data. Being a data analyst is awesome.
I disagree. It depends on the industry, I would say. Debugging, I've done a little bit of debugging, fixing and correcting incorrect data in datasets. That is a part of the job, absolutely. But I would say within certain roles, especially in finance, there's a lot more modeling, analytics, and analysis that goes into being a data analyst. But yeah, correcting data and collating data, piecing together data from different sources to create a full picture, that's part of the job.
But this is also the second major mistake most beginners make. They try to solve every problem themselves. The fact is, that error you just got in Power BI, there's a very big chance someone already has experienced exactly the same error as you, and that's good news for you because now you don't have to look for the cause of the error. You just have to copy part of the error message in Google, and you probably end up on some Stack
Overflow, lifesaver.
Overflow site where someone explains exactly how to solve this error. Let's be honest, copying code from Stack Overflow is like 80% of any developer, programmer, or data analyst's job. Data analyst is awesome. Okay.
I mean, nowadays you can even go to ChatGPT and plug in code and ask it where the issue is. I used ChatGPT a fair amount for debugging purposes when I was working on automating a weekly report that we publish using Python. I automated that report, and for the debugging side of things, I used ChatGPT to help as well. But it's always good to check. Disclaimer, make sure you're not putting any company information into ChatGPT.
Okay, now that you know what tool and programming language to pick and how to actually learn it, it's time to build your portfolio. And this will help you build out an attractive CV for recruiters on LinkedIn. Recruiters, I always talk a little bit like this, I know, programmer. It's so programming language, and the recruiters talk to me every day. Now, if you have a job where you can apply data analytics already, then do so right away. If you don't really do anything data analytics,
Sorry, the lighting on that shot is so good.
really do anything data analytics related, like sales for example, then try to build a report or a dashboard showing some key metrics or KPIs that you can show to your manager. He will appreciate it and you will get to learn your data analysis skills. And if you can't apply to your current job, or if you're still studying, then start a project on your own at home, because in the end it's about getting that data analyst job.
Now on the having a portfolio side of things, when I applied, I didn't have a portfolio, and that was probably honestly a mistake. You should have examples of your previous work for any. That's another weird screenshot.
And the best.
That's a better screenshot. You should have examples of your previous work available to show any interviewers or recruiters. It just demonstrates the practical aspect of being a data analyst. I was able to get by that because I can talk pretty well, but if I'd had a portfolio available to demonstrate my abilities, it would have saved me a lot of talking and explaining on how I use my skills and where I use them. I could just show them in a visual manner, which is part of being a data analyst.
The best way to do that is as follows. Pimp up your LinkedIn profile. I've made a video before where I gave my top 5 LinkedIn profile tips to attract recruiters on LinkedIn, and I'll summarize it here for you. Make sure you put data analyst in as many places as you can in your profile. LinkedIn is a search engine, and if recruiters search for data analyst, you want to be found. You want to be on top of that list. So make sure your header contains the word data analyst. In your work experience, if you've done something data analyst related, put in the keyword data analyst. Once your LinkedIn profile is set up, there's 2 things you can do. Start applying to every single data analyst job you can find on LinkedIn or any other job platform. Or the second way, which I prefer, is if you've set up your LinkedIn profile correctly, then recruiters will soon start hunting you. They will invite you to job interviews for data analyst positions. Which brings me to major mistake number 3.
Don't quit. Well, do quit. Let me explain. You see, the second best decision I have ever made in my life was becoming a data analyst. And to become one yourself, the only thing you have to do is don't quit. Whether it will take you 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year, if you keep applying, if you keep improving your skills, updating your CV, you will land that job eventually. And trust me, once you do land that first data analyst job, a world of opportunities will open up for you. You can grow your skills into a senior data analyst or become a freelance data analyst. Or what I eventually did, quit my job as a data analyst. The single best decision in my life was quitting my job as a data analyst. You see, becoming a freelance data analyst gave me the resources to quit my job and pursue a completely different career, creating my own brand while traveling the world. Do not subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm 100% serious. If you're looking for advice and tips on how to become
Living the dream. That's a great video. The scripting, the pacing, the editing, and to top it all off, the information was top tier. Great video, great breakdown, great roadmap. If you have any questions about becoming a data analyst, how I became a data analyst, or if you have any questions you want to ask me, let me know down in the comments below. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.